Hi everybody, it's Terry Ryder from Hotspotting. There's been a lot of very simplistic reporting about what's going on in our major property markets recently, specifically relating to what's happening to market activity and prices in the two biggest cities, Sydney and Melbourne. Too many generalisations, too many sweeping statements to the effect that property prices are falling in Sydney, property prices are falling in Melbourne. It's not necessarily so. When you look at things in a little bit more sophisticated way, when you look, you drill down what's going on behind the one generalised figure that's thrown up on media to describe an entire very large city like Sydney or Melbourne, you find that there are different things happening in different markets. And what appears to be the case in both the major cities is that the upmarket areas are certainly seeing some price correction. That would appear to be the case. But the cheaper areas, the ones where the first home buyers are active, prices are actually holding up strongly. And there's other evidence that those markets continue to be strong sales activity, and something I'll introduce in just a moment. What the statistics show us is that first home buyer activity across the nation is at the highest level it's been in about the last 6 years. That's particularly true in New South Wales and Victoria, ironically, because these are the most expensive markets, generally speaking. But there are also markets where there are incentives, like stamp duty concessions and grants, that are assisting first home buyers in the market. They're particularly active in Sydney and other parts of New South Wales. So we're seeing, and it's also, these are also active markets in Melbourne. So we're seeing that the fringe areas, the cheaper areas of both Sydney and Melbourne, still very active, and there's evidence that prices are holding up strongly in some of those markets. Now here's another measure which tends to show that you can't generalise about what's going on in a market. Sadly, in Australia, we have economists in particular talking about Australia as an entire market, which is ludicrous because we have so many different markets and different scenarios playing out in different cities and areas around the country. But it's equally silly to generalise about a market in a very large city like Melbourne. Different things are happening out in different market sectors. So here's some figures that came to light recently showing how long houses are taking to sell, in particular local government areas across the Melbourne metropolitan area. And it shows that in some cases, in some markets, houses are actually taking longer this year to sell than last year and the year before. But in many markets, houses are actually selling faster this year than last year and the year before. And many of those markets where houses are actually selling faster are the cheaper areas. An example would be the local government area of Hume. That's up in the northern part of the Melbourne metropolitan area, one of the more affordable parts of the Melbourne market. And the average number of days on market, according to these figures, were 67 days in 2016, 53 days in 2017, and this year 48 days. So this year, houses in that market are selling faster than last year and the year before. Other examples would include Wyndham, which is another fringe outlying outer ring area of the Melbourne metropolitan area. One of the more affordable parts are suburbs like Werribee, Hoppers Crossing, Point Cook, Wyndham Vale. And we're finding that houses are selling, in this case, on average, around about the same number of days on markets as last year, but are faster than was happening in 2016. Then you've got Whittlesea, which is another northern precinct of Melbourne, alongside Hume, the northern cheaper suburbs of the Melbourne metropolitan area, suburbs like Epping, Thomastown, Lalor, and others up there in the north. According to these figures, average time on the market in 2016 was 67 days, then last year 53 days, this year 48 days. So houses selling faster this year than last year and the year before. The Mornington Peninsula, another distant market, a long way from the centre of Melbourne. Houses are selling faster there this year than last year, and particularly in 2016, much faster this year than 2 years ago. So that's just another way of measuring a market unfortunately, the research companies and media tends to measure everything in property in terms of what's happening in movements in median prices compared to last year, compared to last quarter, compared to last month. And we even have the ludicrous proposition that they're charting movements in prices in our major cities on a weekly basis, as if that's even possible or meaningful in any way. There are other ways of measuring what's happening in markets. We'd like to look at sales volumes because we think that's far more revealing than median price data, which is full of anomalies and statistical absurdities and just basically error, which is unfortunately not weeded out by our lazy media. So the figures I've just presented, average time on market, how long it's taking for houses to sell, is another way of charting the strength or otherwise of markets. And it seems that across Melbourne, while there are some areas where houses are selling more slowly this year than last year and the year before, there are still many markets where this year houses are selling faster than they did in 2017 and 2016, suggesting that those markets are still active and strong. And from people on the ground at the coalface in the Melbourne market, that's what we're hearing from them as well. So it's try to ignore that simplistic coverage in media where they have generalized commentary, sweeping generalizations about the market is down. Well, it's simply not the case, not in all sections of the market anyway, in Sydney and Melbourne. Meanwhile, in other parts of the country, we have some very strong rising markets that aren't getting any attention at all in mainstream media. That's it for now. Terry Ryder from hotspotting.com.au signing off. Talk to you again soon.